Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post. Or else you can look me up at my website, which is www.garethcahoon.co.uk. Or if you'd like to support the ministry, the work that I do, you can do so through PayPal, garethcahoon3@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to drop me a comment, or even better than that, let me know where you're from. It'd be great to know where my followers are from. This one is about the NHS and how I have been a great benefactor of the NHS, which was established back in 1948 and has generally been a bastion of healthcare and a really successful social enterprise. And even though I'm not generally for socialised anything, I think the NHS has worked to the best of its ability. But there's a few things that it's done recently which make me wonder, is it about healthcare, or is it about morals, or is it about pushing certain things that are evidently wrong on every level, yet the NHS is portraying those things and pushing them forward. And the first one is cousin marriage and the effects that it has on children. When two first cousins have children, the main issue doctors think about is the increased risk of inherited genetic disorders, especially recessive ones. Here's the clear, honest version. Why the risk is higher: everyone carries a few faulty genes without knowing it. Usually that's harmless. Problems can happen if both parents carry the same faulty gene. The child inherits the gene from both sides. Because first cousins share grandparents, they share more DNA than unrelated people, about 12.5%. So the chances they carry the same recessive gene is higher. How much does the risk increase? For couples who are not related, the background risk of having a baby with a serious birth defect or genetic condition is about 2.3%. For first cousin couples, studies usually estimated at 4 to 6%. So the risk roughly doubles, but it's important to note that most children of cousin marriages are born healthy. The majority do not have serious conditions. Possible effects. Now, this is the reason why it's wrong. If the problems do occur, they can include certain metabolic disorders, blood conditions, hearing or vision loss, developmental delays, congenital heart defects, rare genetic syndromes, and other body parts being grown also. What doctors usually recommend: if first cousins are planning children, which they shouldn't be, or are already pregnant, healthcare providers often suggest genetic counselling. What good would that do? Carrier screening, blood tests after the fact, again, what good would that do? Detailed antenatal scans during pregnancy, again, what would that do? Only say that your child has these conditions or not. These can help estimate the specific risk rather than just general statistics. So the other way that the NHS has went wrong recently is they're now slanting themselves towards the LGBTQ community and given puberty blockers to physically and mentally whole children, clinically called gonadotropin releasing hormone GnRH analogues, are medications that pause pubertal development. They have long been used in cases like precocious puberty and more recently in some adolescents with gender dysphoria. Yeah, gender dysphoria is not a thing. It is a mental condition and it should be treated so. Here's a calm, evidence based look at the known and possible risks, health risks, plus what the doctor monitor closely. How puberty blockers work. They suppress the hormones which trigger puberty, which stops or slows physical changes like breast development or voice deepening. It's considered fully reversible in the same that puberty resumes when the medication is stopped. Yes, but that child might be rendered um, sterile, meaning they can no longer have children. Their breasts mightn't be formed. There's many outcomes to these things that are wrong. Possible health risks and side effects. One, bone density. This is the most discussed concern. Puberty is the time for building bone strength. Suppressing puberty may lead to lower bone mineral density during treatment. Some studies suggest partial or full rebound after stopping, but long-term fracture risk isn't fully known, which means they shouldn't be doing it. Doctors often monitor bone density, vitamin D levels, and overall growth and height. Blocking puberty can temporarily delay growth spurts. Final adult height may change depending on timing and duration, though data are limited. Body composition. Some people experience increased body fat, reduced less muscle mass. The changes may shift again after puberty resumes. Fertility implications. Blockers alone do not permanently compromise fertility because they don't mature eggs or sperm. However, if followed directly by gender affirming hormones without going through puberty, fertility preservation options may be limited unless addressed beforehand. Headaches, hot flashes, and fatigue. Short term side effects can include headaches, mood changes, tiredness, hot flashes, injection site reactions. Mental health effects. Research is mixed and evolving. Some young people report relief from distress or anxiety. Others may experience mood changes or worsening depression. It's not always clear whether changes can form the medication itself or from the surrounding stressors. Careful psychological screening and follow-up are standard. The unknown long-term effects. Because widespread use for gender dysphoria is relatively recent, there is still limited long-term data on cardiovascular health, brain development, sexual function in adulthood. Medical groups differ in how they interpret the current evidence. How clinicians try to reduce risk. When prescribed, it's usually within a specialist service that includes physical exams and blood tests, growth tracking, bone density scans, mental health assessment, regular review of whether treatment should continue. Big picture summary. Potential risks: temporary suppression of bone density, changes in growth patterns, possible mood effects on long-term outcomes. So that these are the things, and this is probably why kids who have transgendered are a lot more likely to become school shooters and go on to do acts that they wouldn't have done if they hadn't have been put on the puberty blockers. But these are the things that the NHS is doing, and I think it's a shame and disgrace